Hello everyone. If you can hear me, just type yes in the chat. Thanks, Digvijay. So if you have any question, do let me know in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer. And in the meantime, I think more people will join. Yeah, so we have more people coming in. So yeah, do let me know in the chat if you have any questions. Hey Shriyansh, getting sponsored job will be tougher in future or is the same because government is planning to increase the minimum income threshold to 38k. Um, Obviously, when they will increase the salary threshold, it will become much more expensive for companies because they will have to pay you certain amount and then they will also have to sponsor your visa. So it may become tougher, but considering the fact that companies will have to increase the salary anyways, because of inflation and stuff. So I don't know, but the thing is, there are some jobs like IT related jobs where they don't really find a lot of people from within the UK or the citizens of UK. So they have to hire people from outside. So it totally depends on company to company whether they want to make that compromise. Because when I talk to a lot of people from different companies, they always tell that most of the IT thing is being handled by um, either Indians or Pakistanis or Bangladeshis, so that part of the world. So I would say it will still be okay, but again, increasing. I think currently the salary threshold is around 27 to 28k, so they are increasing it by 10k, which is a huge jump. So it may get harder to get a sponsorship job. So I totally get your point, but we can only wait and see how things will pan out. I'm planning to move to University of Nottingham this September for the course MSc Data Science. I would like to know what one thing I should start doing to have a job after completing the course. So there are few things, and I have already discussed about this in one of my videos. So let me quickly um, find that video and share it with you. Yeah, so this video should give you the information that you are looking for. You're welcome, Digvijay. Chat seems quite silent today. Thanks for the clarification. I got admit for business analytics in Northumbria University and I have chosen placement year option. Can you please guide how to get job in placement year and also full-time job? Mm, well, you can do quite a lot of things like always, and you join my live Q&A almost every Saturday, so you would have already heard. But again, um, just to repeat myself, first thing is I would say try to find an internship, and getting an internship in placement here should be fine. And also there are a lot of jobs uh, where they specifically hire for placement here. There are different type of placement jobs. One is for bachelor's and the other one is for masters. I think masters one is for 1 year and the bachelor's is for like 2 years, I think. It could be 1 year for bachelor's as well, so I'm not really sure about bachelor's. But yeah, for masters you get few jobs where they hire you for a year or so. There will be various kind of trainings, so maybe for first 3-4 months they will train you on certain things, and then they will put you in a team where you will be working on certain things. So there are some data analytics and data scientist and business analytics kind of roles which you can get into in placement here. So do look for those, and also I think you can look for graduate roles. And if you and I think graduate roles are much more safer option, is because by the time you will finish your placement year, and yeah, by the time you will finish your placement year you will also be done with your training part. And well, the training lasts for like 18 months, so there will still be 6 months remaining, but I think it is still fine. And there is a sure shot way that the graduate role will be converted into full-time role. So that is something which you can look for, and it is totally fine that you can work for 40 hours or full time in your placement year. So that will also be considered as your placement, and then you will eventually get a full time role. So I think graduate roles are something which you should look for. The only thing about graduate role is that uh, there are very few business analytics roles that I have seen, uh, simply because from a personal perspective and from my personal experience, I'm telling you this, like a lot of business analysts, they have this role where they have to interact with the higher stakeholders and also the technical team. They need to gather information, they need to convert it into a technical problem and then provide it to their team. So they don't want to put someone who does not have any experience into that spot where they will be um, in touch with the higher stakeholders, because they don't want to put things at stake, is because maybe if you miss something, and because of which there will be some issues with the product which the team is building, or the kind of analysis that team is doing. So that's where I think there are less graduate roles for business analysts. But um, if you also learn about data analysis, and now that you are doing your course of business analytics at Northumberland University, I think they are covering certain data analysis tools. So you may want to apply to some of the data analyst roles if you want to do that. If you don't want any data analysis roles, then don't apply to that. That is totally fine. But if you want to have something, you can for data analysis roles as well. So I think the best way to get into job market in placement year would be to start with graduate roles. How important is data structures and algorithm for the role such as machine learning engineer or data scientist in the UK? So I've recently made a video about the future of data science. So you should check out that video. I think that would be the first video when you go to the videos tab. But I would say it is very important now, because both software development and data science, machine learning engineer, whatever, they are getting merged. And now it is not like, even if you don't know data structures or algorithm, it's fine, you can get into. I mean, I won't say that you need that level of data structures and algorithm which you need for software engineer, but you still need a basic understanding of how a particular data structure works, more specifically data structures which are uh, involved in data science, more specifically uh, Python data structures. So the first one is, someone is playing a song. Yeah, so yeah, tuples, list, uh, and set, those kind of things, dictionaries. So all the data structures were there in Python, you need to know that. And after that, you also need to understand how a data frame works, how a series work. These two are from pandas. And then if you are working with big data technologies, so you need to understand various data structures that are involved in PySpark or any other technology or tools that you're going to use. So you need to understand those. And as for algorithms, you may not need to learn all the algorithms that are there. You need to understand how to calculate the complexity, time complexity, and also space complexity of a particular algorithm, because there will be a lot of performance implications. You may not want to use for loop. You should avoid for loops as much as you can. So yeah, those are the things that you need to understand. And if you understand those things, I think you should be fine. How about your job scenario? How my job scenario? I didn't quite catch your question. If you could rephrase it, so maybe I will be able to answer your question better. I've completed a boot camp in data analytics and also have 4 month experience in product based company. Will this be considered when I apply for data analytics role after completing MSc? Any kind of certification and experience will certainly be helpful. Um, but 4 months of experience, it's not like it's a very significant experience. So, but still, it will count. It is better than having no experience. So, yeah, it will be considered. Had you done any part-time jobs? I did internship, yes, during my masters. Where are you applying, and did you get any positive responses, or you already doing some job? I'm already working as a data scientist. And I applied on various platforms like LinkedIn, CV Library, Total Jobs, Target Jobs, Indeed, Read. So yeah, those are some of the platforms where I applied. Can you guys hear music in the background? Just curious because someone who is in the room next to mine, uh, they're playing some song, so and it's quite loud. So just curious, I want to understand. Can you hear it? Okay, cool then. Okay, so you can still hear my. So whatever I'm speaking, you can still hear me clearly, right? Hey Roshan, I heard many recruiters are not preferring graduates on PSW due to sponsorship requirement in the future and rejects them in the first round itself. Is it true? Yes, it is true. There are some companies where they do this. And it's good to be rejected in the first round because there have been few cases where I've seen people they cleared like 2 3 rounds and then they were like, "What is your visa status?" and then they rejected their application, which I think is pretty bad because they have put in so much effort, time in preparing for those interviews and then got rejected because of the visa implications. So yes, it does happen. There are some companies where they don't want to hire people on post-study work visa because after 2 years, and I think especially for graduate tourists, because for a year or so they will be guiding you, they will be training you a lot of different things. So it's company's investment, and then after that, if a candidate does not perform well, then there is no point in giving them sponsorship, and then they will lose out on quite a lot of things. So yes, I totally agree from company's perspective, but then also it is not good for a candidate who spent like almost 1.5 year in a graduate role, where if they could have gone into some other company, they could have worked for and so that much time, and probably they could have gotten sponsorship. So yes, it is. I mean, if you see it from both the perspective, you will be able to understand it. But yeah, I can say that yes, it is true that there are a lot of companies they don't hire people on PSW. But I think they will not have any other options moving forward, is because right now for this batch, and for my batch, so my batch graduated in 2022, and then for 2023, I think they still had people from European region where they didn't need any kind of sponsorship to work in the UK, so they had a lot of options. But moving forward, there will be less people, and uh, when I go back and look at my batch, there were like 5-10 people out of 120 who were doing data science course. So there are very few UK citizens they are doing these kind of courses. So ultimately companies will have to hire people from outside the UK, and they will have to ultimately consider post study work visa and eventually provide people sponsorship. So but it's just my assumption as of now. I can't really be sure what will happen in future, but I am hoping for a better prospect for PSW students. How is the job market for UX UI designer? I have no idea, bro. So I've never looked into that, so I can't really comment on that. What should I do as a fresher and will be completing my MSc in data science in September from Manchester Metropolitan University? What should I do to get internship or job? The first thing is you need to clear your masters. So do focus on submitting your assignments on time and try to do your best in that. Next thing is, and when you will do your assignments and when you will do all those things, uh, don't just do your assignments just to complete it and pass. Try to learn more about things, try to understand things in a much deeper way. And also I have seen quite a lot of people when they say I am a fresher, and when I actually tell them that you need to follow best practices, how to structure your file, um, how to, let's say if you're connecting to a database, how to store your passwords and things like that. The first thing they say is I'm a fresher, I haven't worked in a company, so I don't know this. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. When I graduated from my university, I did not, I mean, I barely attended any of the classes. I learned everything from open source materials like um, YouTube and other articles. I used to go to my college in bachelor's um, just for attendance or something like that. So, but I still knew how to handle those things and uh, how to follow the best practices of a particular programming language. So, this is just an excuse, and I would say you should know all these things when you graduate and focus on that. After that, I would say focus on your communication skills. It's very important, and a lot of people they just don't talk about it. I know when they say that you need these skills to be a data scientist, they only talk about technical skills. They don't talk about soft skills, and soft skills are very important. Some of the times you will get rejected by just talking to the hiring manager on the very first call. They say that yes, it is a friendly discussion, they just want to understand your profile, they just want to understand your requirements and all those kind of things, but they actually test the way you communicate. They ask what do you do, um, and what type of skills you have, what is your background. They actually try to understand how are you communicating that. It should not be like you're talking about your profile for like an hour or something. They want it to be concise, but then also they also want you not to undersell yourself. So it's very important to be good with your communication skills, and you should also be able to explain things in a much easier way, and you will be able to explain things in a much easier way when you know things properly. So if you, let's say you know random forest, and if you understand how random forest works, then only you will be able to explain it in an easier way. In an interview they don't really look for those fancy words which you can talk about like entropy, Guinea impurity and things like that. So they they want to, obviously you will use those terms, but you also need to be able to explain those things properly, right? So that is what it is very important. So yeah, you need to be very clear with your concepts and also improve your communication skills. I think those are the keys to get a job. Relation between big data versus data science. So right now, almost all the companies, they have quite a large amount of data. So now it's no more just data science. It has now become big data science. So if you go to a company, you won't get a normal Excel sheet. You won't be just doing your data analysis on that Excel sheets. Most of the times, you will have to connect to an external uh, database. It could be Snowflake, it could be Oracle database, it could be any other database, it could be S3 bucket. So from AWS. So now you need to know PySpark. PySpark is probably very popular is because it is written in Python. So you will be using all the Python functionality on that, and you don't have to learn anything new. You can always go for the normal Spark, which uses Scala. So that is there. But in industry, I think PySpark is very popular. Dask is again something which you can look into. So I think it is very important now to understand big data. Maybe you don't need to know Hadoop, MapReduce, Hive, which used to be quite popular in big data long back ago. So yeah, I think they both go hand in hand. But if you just go for, let's say, big data engineer or just data engineer, there you will be mainly dealing with how to structure a data, how to store it in a most optimal way. And when you go for data science roles, there you data science is actually an umbrella term, so data engineer comes under this one. But mainly people will expect you to do data analysis and probably some forecasting, so making predictive models, things like that, and also deployment part. So that's what data science is. But nowadays the data is quite big, so you need to know big data technologies as well. How many days per week there would be data science classes in NU, and hours per day? NU, do you mean Northumbria University or Newcastle University? Hi Ranjit. Some companies directly send a rejection automated mail if you are not a citizen of the UK or you don't have valid work permit while applying. To be honest, I think that's the fairest way to let the candidate know instead of wasting. I totally agree, Rupa. Instead of just letting people to go through several rounds of interview and then ask them, are you, will you need any sponsorship or sort of things, and then reject. That is totally waste of time for even for the company. It is a waste of time. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, this is a much better way. And we are just halfway through the live Q&A. If you are finding this live Q&A helpful, do give it a thumbs up. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and also it keeps me motivated to come live every week to answer your questions here. I'm coming to the UK in this September and will be doing MSc in data science with a placement here. I am a fresher, but I have already done a data science certification course in India. Any tips? Um, you have done your certification course in India, so I would assume that you will be having quite a lot of knowledge about data science. So maybe the master's course will not be as hard as for someone who is completely new to data science. So what I would suggest you is try to do your assignments as quickly as possible, and try to make some time to learn new things like cloud infrastructure such as AWS, Azure, or GCP. And then if you want to go one more step forward, you could do AWS certification or Azure certification. That will certainly help. Nowadays data science certification, they don't really mean anything to people, but if you have any cloud certification, that is actually very important and helpful, because a lot of companies these days, they just do all their processing on cloud infrastructure. They don't store the data on the local premise. So yeah, I would say that would be something which you can look into. Apart from that, whatever you have learned so far, try to gain in-depth knowledge about those concepts. Try to dig deeper. You may have now understood things in a more breadth first approach. What now I would suggest you to go for is depth approach. So pick any topic, try to go as deep as possible and try to understand it in a much better way. That way you will be able to answer quite a lot of questions in the interview. And if you want to know what type of interview questions usually uh, are being asked, I'm creating these short videos on my channel where you can go, you can scroll through those questions, and also in the comments you will be able to find my answer, how I would answer those questions, and what all things I will include in that. So you, for most of the questions you will get them directly, but there are some questions where you won't get them directly. They might give you a scenario and then you will have to figure out on your own, and then you will have to answer a particular question. So let's say if they are asking you, if they're giving you a scenario, and they want to understand whether this problem can be solved using let's say linear regression. To answer that question, you need to understand how linear regression work, you need to understand what are the assumptions of linear regression, and then only you will be able to answer that question. So when you will go through the short videos which I have created, you will be able to see those kind of questions, and then in the answer you will be able to, in the comments you will be able to find the answer. And I try to post one question every day. I haven't been very consistent, but mainly because of my workload. But yeah, I still try to post video every day, at least one question. So that way you can just practice one question every day, and by the time you will finish your masters, you will have answer to a lot of questions. I am a fresher from mechanical background and I am switching my career to data science or business analyst. I am planning to come to September 24 till next year. Okay. Will I face any difficulty in getting a job? Mm, well, that's a tough question. Uh, you might find difficulties, or maybe you will be able to find something easy. It depends on quite a lot of different factors. I mean, if you are asking about changing your domain, I think it's totally fine. A lot of people do that. In my batch, there were people from pharmaceutical background, so she had experience of around 8 to 9 years in pharmaceutical domain, and then she switched to data science and she has got a job. So it is totally possible to switch your domain, which is totally fine. Will you be able to find a job in 24? That depends on how the economic condition will be, how many jobs will be there. Right now, every month, number of jobs, they are decreasing. So currently the job market is not good, but let's hope by next year we still have like 1 year and then 2 3 months more. So hopefully in a year things will become much better and hopefully jobs will be there. If that is the case, I think you should be able to find. So yeah, that is the answer to that question. It's a tough question to answer. Newcastle University class days per week. Yeah. So for first semester, I think we had 3 days out of 5, and every day we had. It's hard to remember because there are. I mean, in two different semesters, there were like a huge difference in number of classes. So first semester, it was quite chill, I would say. 3 to 4 days classes per week, and then every day you will have to attend for like 3 to 4 hours. That's all. And in labs, you can go, you can ask your questions, and if you're done with your queries, you can leave whenever you want. You don't have to sit for 3 hours, so that is quite good. In second semester, I think we had classes every day, but again, it was not like you have to sit there every in the whole day. You can go to the lectures. Lectures are usually for an hour or two, and then after that, you will have labs to get your doubts clarified. So I would say it is still better. So yeah, you can expect like 3 to 5 days classes per week. How is part-time jobs in UK for international students? It depends from city to city. If the city is big, let's say London or Manchester, there you will be able to find something relatively easily. But if you go to a smaller place like Teesside, I think it will be much harder because there are less businesses there. Newcastle is a relatively small place, but still there are a lot of businesses, and there are two big universities here, Newcastle University and Northumberland University. So there are a lot of students. Because of that, it is I won't say easy, but relatively easy to find a part-time job here because in my batch, most of the people were doing part-time jobs. 80% of things in MS syllabus is something I already know. I have also done AWS certification tips to get a job as a fresher. So that's a really good thing, and that puts you in a very good spot. What I would say is when you come here, you should start looking for internship, probably right from your first semester. And if you are able to find an internship in your first semester, then try to do your best in that internship and try to convert it into a full-time role. I think that will be something which I can suggest you. Apart from that, when you will be finding internship, also try to participate in hackathons, because when you participate in hackathons and if you do well, there are some people from various different companies. They do keep an eye on these hackathons and they try to look for a good talent, and if they're able to find someone, they either offer them an internship or they offer them a full-time role. So try to do those kind of things right from the start, and also try to join meetups. There are a lot of different type of meetups in a lot of different cities, so do join data science or data analytics meetups and try to make good connections there. Try to tell them what you are doing, try to ask what they are doing, how do they do things, and try to make a good relationship. And then after going to those meetups, let's say 2 3 times, you will have a good idea about what the person does, and then you can probably ask them, I am looking for an internship, do you know anyone or any company where they're hiring an intern or even for a job? So they may be able to refer you. So yeah, try to do those things, and I hope you'll be able to find something soon. When is the best time to apply to when is the best time to start applying for jobs? uh, so for graduate roles, I would say start applying right after your first semester, and for other roles, I would say start applying when you start your dissertation. I'm planning to pursue my master's in computer science in Jan 24. I have IT work experience of 2 years. Can I opt for 1 year master's? Actually, I'm confused between a 1 year and I think the 2 year master that you're talking about, it includes a placement year, and I always suggest people to go for placement. You already have 2 years of IT experience, so I would say you may not need that. But if you still want some uh, buffer, maybe you could go for that. But I think you have 2 years of experience, you will be able to get non-graduate roles. So if you are applying for those roles, they may not offer you something if you will be on your placement year. So I think it would be better to just go for 1 year masters. But that is just my opinion. Do think through it and do weigh in all the factors, and whatever feels right to you, do that. But from my point of view, and if I was in a situation, I would probably go for 1 year masters. You're welcome, Ashish. You're welcome, Pramod. Do you guys watch Formula One? Just curious. Because it's a race weekend and it's a British Grand Prix. So yeah, the race is in Silverstone. Uh, it is like what, 3 hours drive from Newcastle. So it's quite close. But when I was looking for the tickets and stuff, it was already sold out, and again, it's very expensive. So yeah, maybe next year. Oh, nice to know, Pramod. Which team do you support, or which driver? I'm doing data science masters. Should I go for Microsoft certified Azure data scientist associate or the normal Azure fundamentals? I'm just trying to think about it. What I would suggest is going for the Azure certification, where they will, I mean, where you will be tested mainly based on your awareness and knowledge of Azure. I think that should be fine. But because the thing is, when you go for Azure data science, so data scientist associate, I mean, I think it is totally depending on what they are covering and what they are assessing. So I'm not entirely sure exactly what things they will be covered in data science certification and in normal Azure certification, because I have not done any kind of certification because I just felt like it's unnecessary for me. But because I have also had some experience, so just because of that. What I would suggest is whichever you feel is much more in depth, where you are being tested on quite a lot of concepts. whichever is more versatile, go for that one rather than just sticking to a very specific thing. So if they are assessing just your data skills which are being performed on Azure cluster, then maybe it is not that helpful. But if they are assessing quite a lot of things in data scientist associate certification, then maybe you can go for that. So whichever is more wider, go for that one. MSc data science or MSc machine learning, which do you think is best? Hmm. So if you just want to get into machine learning and if you just want to be a machine learning engineer, I think it's better to go for MSc machine learning. But if you do a data science course, machine learning will be covered, maybe not as in depth as it will be covered in machine learning masters, but still you will have sufficient knowledge, and if you put in some extra effort, extra time, you will be able to apply for machine learning engineer roles. But if you do your masters in machine learning, you will have very good knowledge about machine learning, but when you will be asked questions related to data analysis or statistic hypothesis testing, those kind of things, you may not be able to answer those questions, so you won't be able to apply for all the data science roles. So if you don't have any specific liking towards data science or machine learning, then I would say go for data science. But if you really want to be a machine learning engineer, then go for MSc machine learning. I hope that answers your question. Is deep learning and NLP part of data science? Yes, it is. So as a data scientist, you do quantitative analysis and also predictive analysis. When you do predictive analysis, and by predictive analysis I mean is machine learning and deep learning. So I would say yes, it is a part of data science. Natural language processing is when you deal with text data, and as a data scientist, I am dealing with text data on a daily basis. So I work with natural language processing quite a lot. So yes, NLP is also a part of data science. Thanks for answering all the queries. You are doing a great work by helping students who are roaming around for the questions. I'm glad that these live Q&As are helping you and everyone, Shobit. That's the idea. I mean, next week it will be exactly 1 year since I started doing these live Q&A, and I've tried to do it every week. There have been some weeks where I maybe was not feeling well, or I was probably traveling, or because of work I could not do it. But I have still done more than 45 uh, live Q&As. So yeah, I'm just trying to help as many people, because when I was in your shoes, even I was trying to get a lot of things clarified, and I had so many issues. I could not find any place to get my queries resolved. So that's why I thought I can be that person who could help people here. So yeah, that's the idea behind it. Also have a certification in data science from IBM. Do you think it's necessary to go for MSc data science again in the UK or US? I mean, if you have that certification and if you have the skills already, so I don't think it is necessary to go for masters in UK or US. So yeah, that's there. But if you are comparing a certificate with MSc, I would say that is not a right thing to do. Is because when you do a certification, yeah, it's fine, but when you do a degree, it gives a bit of boost to your profile, and also it, the kind of content which is being covered in masters and your certificate, it may be same, but the kind of exposure that you will get in your master's course, the kind of people you will meet, professors, your peers, and things like that, it will be completely different. So you will make some good connections there. So on that level, you may not be able to compare both of them, but if you feel like after doing data science certification, you have all the right skills and knowledge to get a job, I think doing masters in UK or in US is not necessary. For a data analyst, which language is more in demand, Python or R? I would say in industry, Python is much more widely used, and there are a lot of companies they are using R as well, but Python is way ahead of R right now. In academics or research, I think R is being used quite a lot. So in universities, they prefer to use R. In universities and also in government organizations. So there also they prefer to use R. I think I have answered all the questions, and we are also about to reach 1 hour. So yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, I can end the stream now, but I will wait for another minute or so. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend, and yeah, happy learning and all the best for whatever you're doing. See you next Saturday, 12 p.m. UK time, and hopefully, I will have something interesting next week. For MSc, must you be really be good in Python or basic knowledge is needed? To do masters, I think if you have basic knowledge of Python, if you are able to code in Python, I think you should be fine. Yeah, so you don't really need to be super good in Python, but if you are struggling to write a code in Python, I think you will still struggle in masters. But if you know the kind of functionality Python provides and if you are familiar with the syntax of Python, I think you should be fine. Okay, everyone. Bye.